Okay, we're back. So let's say we just watched Jack and the Beanstalk together. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about the questions. And so here's the deal, that you'll see the answers are already here. That's because I'm just going to talk a little bit about where the answers came from, because you are actually going to fill out your own elements of plot right here. Okay, in a second, you're going to get to watch another video of your choosing. Okay, it's not going to be Jack and the Beanstalk. It can be something else that you choose. And you're going to fill this out based on that video that you watch. So I'm going to explain this one. And yeah, you'll notice it says teacher instructions answer key because I'm sharing my answer key with you. Okay, exposition. That's the time and the place, right? The main character is, of course, Jack. The setting is, I just put long, long ago because in the video and in the storybook, it doesn't tell you exactly when. So I put long, long ago because we can tell by the images, we can tell by the descriptions, we can tell by the setting that it's not any time in our current memory. Okay, it's not like 5 years ago or 10 years ago. You can tell. So we put long, long ago, and we know that it's a country farm, or maybe there's a little village. So see, it's okay to put that. If you're watching a story and it says the setting is like, New York City in 2015, then you could put that here. But sometimes we don't always know. It's okay to just get the gist and put that here. Okay, let's talk about the inciting incident. What is the one thing the main character does that causes all the other events to happen? Think about it that way. When you're thinking of the inciting incident, what's the one thing the main character does that causes sort of a domino effect or a ripple effect for all the other events to happen? So think about it this way. Look at what I filled in here. Right after the exposition, the main character decides to do what? So we meet the main character, we get the time, we get the location, we basically get all the setting information, and immediately he decides he's going to trade his cow for some magic beans. And that's not really a problem yet, right? It's not really a problem to trade one thing for another. It's just that that's the first point where you realize, oh, okay, the main character made a decision. This is going to change, this is going to change the plot. This is going to change what was supposed to happen from the beginning of the story. In the beginning of the story, he was supposed to take the cow to town, right? And he was supposed to trade the cow, right? So he does trade the cow. He just didn't trade it for anything worthwhile. He didn't do anything worthwhile with what the directions were from his mom, okay? And this is what causes all the other issues in the story to happen. That's how I knew to trade his cow for magic beans. That's how I knew to put that for the inciting incident. Okay, so in the rising action, now we just need to list 3 or 4 problems that happen next. And we've got 3 blanks here. We're going to stick with 3. So what are some problems that happen next? I'm going to try to figure out the biggest 3 problems. I'm not going to list every single problem that happens. I'm not going to list every single piece of internal conflict or external conflict. I'm just trying to pick the 3 biggest problems, okay? So first of all, he has to get back the hen that the giant stole. Then he has to get back the harp that the giant stole. And finally, he's got to get back the gold that the giant stole, okay? So I didn't put information in here like, oh, he has to figure out where to hide, or, oh, he has to figure out if the giant's wife is to be trusted or not. Oh, I didn't put in here that he's got to start climbing up and down the beanstalk. Like, all of those are conflicts too, but I just wanted to stick with the 3 biggest ones, okay? So when you watch the video that you choose in a minute, this is what you have to think about. Don't list every single problem. Okay, the turning point, the climax. What is the absolute worst situation in the story? Okay, the turning point or the climax is the part where the main character is in the biggest amount of trouble. So when is he in the biggest amount of trouble? Okay, so I put, well, Jack gets caught when the giant sees him taking the gold. So the giant follows him down the beanstalk and Jack may or may not be able to get away. Now, we know, okay, he's going to get away. It's just a matter of, okay, but how? He seems like he's really trapped, okay? And to get even more specific, it's not even so much that the giant sees him taking the gold. I mean, it's a pretty big problem because the giant never actually saw him take anything before. This is the first time he sees it. But to get even more specific with what exactly is the turning point or the climax in the story, it's this part right here where it says the giant follows him down the beanstalk. Right? That really is, I mean, I could have shortened this. I didn't have to actually write all of this, okay? I really could have just put, it's the part where the giant follows him down the beanstalk. Okay, now for the falling action. List 2 or 3 things that happen right after the turning point. So the giant follows him down the beanstalk. What happens immediately after? Well, I mean, right there, Jack yells for his mother, okay? He's not calling her because he's scared and he wants his mama. He's calling her to get the axe. He's got a plan, okay? So first of all, he calls for his mom to get the axe and he starts to cut down the beanstalk. The giant falls the rest of the way down and dies. So this is three things, okay? He yells for the axe, he starts to cut down the beanstalk, this part right here, and finally the giant actually falls down and dies. Okay, so resolution, how did the story actually end? Well, okay, it's kind of a fairy tale story, so of course they end up living happily ever after, all right? And so that's kind of a walkthrough of the elements of plot. So this is now your turn to do it, okay? You are going to watch a video of your choosing. There are a couple of links and a couple of codes that you can choose to get started. So on your student handout, let me see if I can pull it up for you. Oh wait, where did it go? Where did it go? Okay, it's right here. So this is your student handout, right? So we went through the plot analysis together, all right? This is the section where you got to choose a video. You can click here to choose from a whole selection, or if you don't have full internet access right now, if you just have like a phone or an iPad, then there are links to a couple of different choices. These are both Jack and the Beanstalk videos, but remember, you could have chosen either one or something from here, all Jack and the Beanstalk. And so now we're in this part right here. Let's talk about the elements of plot in the Jack and the Beanstalk video. That's what we're doing right here. And finally, the last thing you're going to do is I give you two more links. You can click here or here. You can scan here or here. And any of those links is going to bring you to other pretty short little video stories that you can watch so that you can fill out this right here. And that is your task for right now. That is your task. The very last thing is this. You'll write a summary of your story using this format. Somebody wanted, but so then. That's the last part after you finish watching your video, after you finish filling out your questions here, okay? So for example, in Jack and the Beanstalk, Jack is the somebody, right? I could say Jack wanted, well, what did he want? Jack wanted to trade his cow for magic beans so that he could get back the items that the giant stole from his family. But the giant caught him, so Jack cut down the beanstalk, then the giant died, and Jack and his mother lived happily ever after. So that's a summary of that story. Okay, so that is where you are headed in these lessons today.